South Florida's Money Talk Radio.
WSBR.
The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
Welcome to the Ask the Experts show with local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Enjoy being educated in such topics as personal injury law, community association law, family law, bankruptcy law, along with health show topics like pain management, men's health, and dental implants. Now, sit back and enjoy today's Ask the Experts with host Steve-O.
Hey, good afternoon. This is another Ask the Experts. I'm Steve-O. We also have another show today from 5 to 6 on 1470 AM, Ask the Experts. This show coming up is a very special show. And the reason why is everybody knows somebody who's having tax problems. But you know what? We were so lucky because our expert in tax resolution is amazing. In fact, he's actually doing our Houston shows, and we had 2 phone calls thanking us. We'd rarely get phone calls from listeners thanking us for bringing us a show. But when you hear his show today and you hear his heart, you are going to be blown away because this man, his name is Dean Michael. The name of his company is TaxHelpMD. He is the tax doctor. We are so lucky to have him today. Let's welcome Dean Michael. Good afternoon.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Steve. I appreciate that. It's a great welcoming.
But I got to tell you something. When we did our first show last month, there is something, I know you're heartfelt about this, and I got to tell you, it really comes across because I'm telling you, I haven't enjoyed doing a show in so long as much as I did yours, and what you do is amazing. So, but I want you to share your story first of how you started the company.
Well, the main thing is that, if anyone's ever been in tax trouble before, you've gone to a tax attorney, they're looking down their nose at you like, why did this ever happen? But the difference is I've been there before myself. I've been in IRS tax trouble. When I was a youngster, my mom passed away when I was 16 years old. So I've basically been on my own ever since. And when that happened, I didn't file any tax returns or anything. I didn't have anybody to guide me in my way onto the life. So being a 16-year-old, unguided, and what have you, IRS basically, after 10 years of not filing, came up with this big, huge assessment that they claimed I owed. And I would be my own perfect candidate if I was looking for a client now, because I just kept procrastinating, kept burying my head in the sand, pretending it wasn't there. I didn't file year after year. Well, I didn't file last year. I'm not going to file next year. I'm not going to file.
Those envelopes go in the drawer, don't they?
They just go in the circular file.
Yes.
So long story short, they forced my hand. They were levying everything I had, garnishing everything I had, where I had to get help. And when I did, I found out that when you don't file the IRS, if they believe you're going to owe them money, they'll go ahead and file for you. And they had come up with this ridiculous number of something like $75,000 they claimed I owed.
Wow.
When I finally had to get help, and I did, and I filed everything up to date, long story short, I only owed $900. That was it.
After all that.
Was done. Yep. And, even though that I was so excited about the outcome of the case, at the same time I was kicking myself in the butt for letting it hang over my head for 10 years. Wondering if the next paycheck was still going to be in the bank account or not.
Right. Right.
And that's exactly, what I urge people out there now that are burying their heads in the sand right now. I now train CPAs, tax attorneys, and enrolled agents how to do this. This isn't what they learn in school. This doesn't come with their degree. This can only be learned through experience. And right now, the way the IRS is, if you don't have experience in directly dealing with the IRS, you're not going to have a clue as to what's going on. And I tell you what, so basically ever since then, I've been helping people who have made the same mistakes I had ever since. So that's what gets me out of the bed every day. When I look at all the 5-star reviews all over the country, people that I've helped, that's exactly what does it for me. So
You have got a lot of 5-star reviews, which is amazing because, you know, you hear these big companies on TV, and I have heard so many bad stories, but you actually, they will end up basically talking to you.
exactly. Hmm.
So tell people, first of all, tell people what your company does.
We specialize in helping people that, you know, maybe haven't filed for many years, or you have a big tax debt that you can't pay. The IRS is pounding on your door, or they're sending those nasty letters threatening to levy your bank account or garnish your wages. That's when you want to call us. You need to owe at least $10,000 or more. You know, if you owe a couple of thousand, you want to give me a call. I'll advise you how to get through it the best way you can. You know, at no charge. But basically, in order to hire an attorney or professional tax representation, you want to owe at least $10,000 for it to make sense. And what we do is we start out every case by doing what's called a tax investigation. Now, if you call one of the other companies out there that you hear on the radio, they're going to want to charge you thousands of dollars up front. They don't even know your last name or what your problem is.
Right.
I don't do that. You know, we normally charge $4.99 for a tax investigation. And what we do there is we contact the IRS, we order all your transcripts, we find out exactly what's going on, what's been filed, what hasn't been filed, what they've assessed for penalties, what their next move is as far as enforced collections. It gives us a blueprint of what's showing in the IRS's system. And then I, myself, or the manager here will give you a call back, go through everything that we've obtained, and discuss the best resolution available to you. Now, if you're calling during this show, we have people on standby at 888-557-4020. You can get the tax investigation absolutely free. So it doesn't
Wow,
cost
because you charge $499 for that.
Exactly.
Wow.
Call, you know, you say, even if you listen to a podcast of this show, and you say you heard us on this show, we'll go ahead and grant that to you as well. And we'll do the tax investigation absolutely free. So if you're one of those people that have been burying your head in the sand pretending it's not there, believe me, IRS isn't going to forget about you. It doesn't matter how much you owe. They're going to come one day or another. And when they come knocking, you know, at that time, it could cost you a whole lot more than it would if you step up to the plate and just take care of it now.
Now, we just got a text from somebody. They wanted to know, do you handle businesses also?
Oh, of course. That's what we specialize in. I do another show on America's Trucking Network. I've been doing that for the last 10 years. So I deal with independent drivers, deal with driver brokers. I also have a whole plethora of different clients, like politicians, you know, police. We have Homeland Security, FBI agents. You name it. We help everybody out there. So it doesn't matter what business you're in or what you do in life. If you have payroll taxes, if you have income taxes, we help with it all.
Dean, do you find that some people are embarrassed why they don't do something about this, like call a company like yours?
You know, that's one of the biggest things that I hear. You know, I actually did a YouTube video on this about this particular thing, is that some people don't call because they're scared. They're embarrassed about their situation. And I want everybody to know, 1 out of every 3 people in our country have a tax problem of some sort.
Wow.
So you're not alone.
Yeah.
You know, you're not alone. It isn't easy to go ahead and take care of all of this stuff, especially with the complications of all of these tax laws that come out there. It's hard to keep up on. Now, one of the biggest things, the reason why I get clients that I do, you may be the best security guard in the world, you may be the best truck driver in the world, you may be the best whatever you are in the world, but when it comes to running that business, it's a totally different scenario. You need to have someone to guide you through that whole thing, and that's exactly what we do for you.
Hey, give everybody your phone number before we go to break.
It's 888-557-4020, or you can go to MyTaxHelpMD.com.
So let me ask you, so if they owe more than $10,000, more than likely you're going to be able to help them.
Most definitely. I'll be able to get them a better situation than they get on their own.
What is this also? You see these things in the paper, pennies on the dollar. Are those real?
It is a real program. And 20 years ago when I was doing this, I used that program all the time, and it was fantastic. It's called an offer and compromise program. But nowadays, their tendency is to lean towards people that are of senior citizens' age, that are on a fixed income. their financial future isn't looking any brighter, so they know they're not going to get the entire amount anyways. Then and only then are they accepting the offer and compromise program, for, settling for pennies on the dollar. Some of these other companies out there, they want to pitch you on that and tell you that's going to happen for sure. And quite frankly, you're not going to find out for another year and a half down the road that you're still in the same position you were at when you started with them, only you're out of pocket for the amount of money you paid the lawyer.
Okay, give everybody, I want you to not only give them your phone number again, but give them your website too.
All right, so it's 888-557-4020. We've got people on standby to offer the free tax investigation, which would normally cost you $4.99. And also, you can go to the website at MyTaxHelpMD.com. You can see all the reviews about the company and see exactly what we're all about.
Okay, we're going to go to break. We're here with Dean Michael. We're going to talk about, they're having some problems with employees at the IRS that we're going to discuss when we come back. We'll be right back.
Dean Michael, the tax doctor here. Are you tired of those tax problems following you around like a dark cloud, always in the back of your mind, losing sleep at night? Call me now and get your life back. 888-557-4020 or go to MyTaxHelpMD.com. Pretending they're not there won't make them go away. The IRS isn't going to forget. They will levy your bank account and garnish your wages. Don't wait for that to happen. I'm not telling you these things to scare you. I'm telling you so you can benefit from my years of experience. Now is the time to act. 888-557-4020.
We are back here. We're with Dean Michael. He's called the Tax Doctor. The name of his company is TaxHelpMD. And I just want to open up with this in this last half of the show. There is a reason why Dean is on this show. I am telling you, if you've got family members, maybe yourself, even a friend that has a tax problem, by letting them sit on it, you're not being a good friend or family member. We are giving you someone who is really good at what he does, that I totally believe in. And you know what? We're going to be giving out the number again, and I want you to write this down, because you know what? Your friends and family members, I'm sure Dean will attest to this, they have a hard time sleeping at night wondering who's going to knock on the door. Is that right, Dean?
Definitely, and that's one of the best things we get in all the reviews that are written, that they can finally sleep at night not worrying about it. And that's a wonderful thing to hear.
That's got to be so much pressure off of someone, because, man, the IRS can do a number on you, can't they?
And I remember exactly what it was like. I used to do the same thing. So, even though I was elated about the outcome of my case, I was still kicking myself in the butt for letting it hang over my head for 10 years, because every week I was wondering, is my check going to be there? I didn't have to do that. I could have stepped up to the plate a lot earlier, but it's just human nature. It's just
the more time that goes by,
exactly.
the safer you think you are, but you really aren't. They're eventually going to find you.
And it's accumulating more penalties and interest with each and every day.
Yeah, that's the thing. You know what? Mm-hmm. You are accumulating penalties and interest, aren't you?
Definitely.
And I think, Dean, something else which is so great about your company, once they sign up with you, they don't have to talk to the IRS anymore.
No, that's matter of fact, that's what we strongly suggest. It's kind of like that old cliche, you never talk to the cops without your attorney. Same thing here. I don't want you to give them any information that could hinder our ability to get you the best resolution possible. And believe me, some of these revenue officers, they come out, they use that reverse psychology, like they're your best friend. They just want to get the case off their desk and yada, yada, yada. Just give them everything that they're asking for. And if you do, they're going to turn around and use it all against you.
Oh, of course. You actually can be painting them a roadmap to all your accounts, and you know what to say and what not to say. Let me ask you something. Now, if someone hasn't paid their taxes in 10 years, now, do you have to go back and figure everything out for the last 10 years?
Yes, it's outlined within the transcripts that we get within the tax investigation. And the tax investigation, a few weeks back, was done within 24 hours. However, over the last couple of weeks, they've elongated that process to about 4 days. It takes us about 4 days to get the actual transcripts. It takes us 24 hours to get the information over the phone. But, we're talking to new people at the IRS, and sometimes the information we get over the phone isn't accurate. So we want to wait to get the transcripts where it's actually written in black and in white.
Well, what's this deal I hear about that they have less employees now?
We have, we've gotten to know a lot of the revenue officers out there. If anybody doesn't know what a revenue officer is, they're assigned to your case as their own personal collection agent. They're called field agents because they're in the field 4 days out of the week. Their job is to go to your place of employment or your home, knock on the door, flash the badge, introduce themselves, and take a personal inventory of what you have so that they can see what your ability is to pay or inability is to pay, either by income or by assets. And if you're not home, they'll come knocking on your door, or they'll come knocking on your neighbor's door to ask where you're at. So some of them really,
gosh,
they don't have a lot of couth, and they really don't care if you're embarrassed or not. But long story short, we have some revenue officers that we've been working with for many years. I call them old schoolers, and they're going to be retiring soon. We were asking them why some of the people that we're talking to lately seem to have less than a third-grade education. And they said that it's only going to get worse.
Wow.
I forget the actual numbers they had mentioned, but I think it was something like 8,000 reduced to less than half. It was like 3,600 employees out of 8,000. And the 3,600, 80% of them were relatively new. So
you know more than they do.
In there. Yes, definitely. So if you're calling up the IRS looking for some answers to your solution, you're talking to a green pea. We call them green peas because that's exactly what they are. They don't have a clue as to what's going on. They don't know what the guidelines are, the regulations. And honestly, I don't know what their hiring process is over there because it's absolutely ridiculous. And the sad part is that these people have the authority to financially ruin you even if they're doing something wrong. And you have to prove that they're doing something wrong. So it's very important to have a tax professional on your side that's been around this for years and knows the ins and outs, because otherwise you're going to get walked all over. I had a case just last month where they were levying, or I should say garnishing, 50% of the gentleman's Social Security. They're only allowed to take 15% legally. And they did it for 3 years because the guy never knew. He never had a clue. Never had a clue.
So guilty.
The funny part is when we called on it,
innocent.
it magically disappeared. What's that?
So you're guilty before proven innocent. It's just the opposite.
And if you make a revenue officer mad or whatever it may be, it doesn't matter. They overstep their boundaries, and if you don't have somebody there to put them in check, they're going to keep overstepping their boundaries.
Wow, I did not know. So tell me the difference in your company and others out there.
Well, as I mentioned before, a lot of the other companies out there, and I won't mention any names or whatever.
Doesn't matter.
When you call them, they want to charge you thousands of dollars up front, and they don't even know your last name, let alone what your problem is. We do the fact-finding mission first, so that what we're promising you, we know is real and obtainable. I mean, this is proved by all of the 5-star reviews all over the country. I don't have any negative reviews. If you're unhappy with the services that I provide, I'll give your money back. It's plain and simple.
Wow.
I want everybody to be happy.
Well, they are. You can see by everything on the internet. Do people still go to prison?
There is no debtor's prison. You can go to prison if you're trying to defraud the government. So if you're really pulling the ranks and pulling these strings and walking the gray line, going over the edge, yeah, you can go to prison. But if you owe a bunch of money and you've actually been staying in touch with them and trying to make some type of an effort, or even if we can prove you don't have the ability to pay, you're not going to go to prison. But if you try and ignore them forever, they're going to find you, and that could be a possibility.
So it probably doesn't matter how much you owe. If you ignore them, they're really going to come after you.
Definitely, absolutely. So it does. That's what I said before. For many of the people that are burying their heads in the sand, maybe they're hearing this show for the first time. You think I'm talking directly to you? Well, I am. You don't have to hide anymore. This is something that could be handled much easier than you ever thought it could be. We work out reasonable terms as far as fees go. The whole idea here is to get you out of a financial bind. I'm not here to put you in a whole new one, and I'll help you in any way that I possibly.
I love hearing you say that. Because all your clients you get are in a bind, every one of them.
Exactly.
What does
I don't think I've met one yet that's had $50,000 set aside for legal fees.
Right. So let's just, because we only have a few minutes left, let's talk about businesses. How do most businesses get in a jam with their taxes?
By not paying the 941 payroll taxes. That's the biggest one. And unfortunately, since this is money you were supposed to take out of the employee's checks and send it in, IRS looks at it almost like the sales tax, almost like a theft. So they take it very seriously. And where there's a 10-year collection statute on every other debt out there, this has a 20-year because they have an assessment statute date, which is 10 years, where they have 10 years to make additional assessments on the original debt that you owe. And then after that, they have a collection statute expiration date, another 10 years. But so the 941 payroll taxes, it gets really touchy. And if you're in that type of situation, believe me, we know every in and out that there is available to you. You may want it personally assessed to you on civil trust fund penalties, and I know I'm kind of going way out the board right now, but you'll understand if you give me a call.
We help
businesses, we help individuals, we help everybody out there.
I don't know if you can answer, so I just got another text. Love the show today. I had an employee sign an independent contractor that he was responsible for his taxes. He hasn't paid them. Am I responsible for them?
Not as long as he was legitimately an independent contractor. Now, to be a legitimate independent contractor, he had to have been working on his own time. You can't tell him when and where to go. He has to be using his own equipment. He's not using your equipment or using your office. And if he is using your office, they have to have a lease agreement for that office. So that's very important. And if they're coming after him, they're not coming after you. So it's really not that big of a deal at this point.
Okay. I got to tell you, it's so obvious that you know what you're doing, that it is so important that you do help people out there. I love the fact that you could have probably made your company a lot bigger, but then all of a sudden you lose that hand in the pile. You know what I'm saying? And I like the way
become a number at that point. And I don't want that to happen.
Well, I love that about your company. Let's give everybody the phone number again.
All right, it's 888-557-4020. You can find me at MyTaxHelpMD.com. There's a lot of other radio broadcasts, podcasts of this as well, and other videos out there if you want to see who I am, and a ton of 5-star reviews. So please check us out, do your due diligence, and that way you'll be able to sleep better at night as well.
You must love what you do, knowing what you do for people. It must be such a great feeling.
It's the best way I know how to help as many people as I possibly can, and it's exactly what gets me out of bed every day, brother.
And you know what it's like because you went through it a long time ago.
Exactly. I've been there and done that. It's not that I planned it. People don't plan to get in tax debt problems.
Right.
And IRS isn't, prejudiced or anything like that and pick on a certain race or a certain income level. They come after everybody. It doesn't matter if you work for them or not. They're coming after you just as hard as everybody else. So if you're in that type of trouble, don't be ashamed. So are so many other people. It's nothing to be ashamed about. Just give us a call, especially now if you're calling from this show. You get to take advantage of the free tax investigation. It doesn't cost you even 1 cent. Find out exactly where you stand and get the truth.
Well, we love having you as part of the show. You'll be back again next month with more tax relief. The name of the company is TaxHelpMD. This is Dean Michael, the tax doctor. Bro, I'm so glad you're on our show. Have a wonderful week, and we'll talk to you in Houston.
Thank you, Stephen. You take care.
We're going to go to break. When we come back, we've got our personal injury attorney, Shane Farnsworth. We'll be right back.
Dean Michael, the tax doctor here. I have one question for you. Do you want to stop worrying about the IRS? If the answer is yes, then look no further. I've been around for